Your health is your wealth. I just heard that this morning. That's a Floyd Mayweather quote. I'm not sure if it was his originally, but he said that because he was talking about a young boy that wanted to meet him before he died. Before the boy died, he had cancer. He was 10 years old. And it struck Floyd about how important your health is. And I must agree 100%. Although we take our health for granted many times. I know I have. When I was younger, I think I was about 36 or 8, somewhere in there. I was going through one of my divorces and vicious custody battles, and the ex was accusing me of things that I didn't do, and I was spending thousands of dollars to prove that I didn't do it. And I would prove that I didn't do it, and then a few months later she would accuse me of something else, and then more money, and ad infinitum. And I was at my mother's house one day, and I don't know if I was complaining about what was going on or telling her I didn't know what the hell I was going to do. Maybe I was complaining about going broke and losing my home for the second time, maybe or the first time that time. And she said, well, at least you got your health. And I thought to myself, I didn't mean much to me. I thought because I was always healthy. Well, because of the stress, several months or maybe a year later, because this went on for 7 years, I got what they call reactive arthritis. I had eaten some food from Walmart, some chicken, and I got Shigella. It's like a poisoning, and it ticked off this reactive arthritis. They diagnosed me with rheumatoid arthritis. It's the same symptoms, but that wasn't what it was. I found out later. So I could barely walk. My joints were swelled up. I couldn't work. They had to put me on these narcotics, Vicodin and Oxycontin, which nowadays are extremely addictive. So I had to take those just so I could operate. So for the first time in my life, I actually lost my health and my ability. I mean, I would go to work, but it was tough. The pain, even with the medicine, the pain was terrible. But as life goes on and we must push on, I got through that, and it eventually went away once I got out of the stress situation that I was in. And so then I realized, just like Floyd said, your health is your wealth. And what my mother said, at least you have your health. As I never appreciated that before. And many times in life, we don't appreciate things until they're taken away from us. And it was taken away from me. Then I realized how important it is. And that's been some 24 or 5 years ago. And I've had injuries in my life where I couldn't do certain things. I broke my shoulder once. That was a short-term deal. That lasted maybe 3 months before I could start using it again. But it doesn't matter how much money you have. If you aren't healthy, you can't enjoy it. Many, many times we, including myself, put money as a number one priority in life. At all costs, make money. What cost are you willing to pay to make money? Are you willing to give up your health, your integrity, your character? If you do, poor health, physical health, will soon follow. If you try to get to the top by manipulating, using, walking over top other people to get there, you may get to the top of the financial ladder, but you won't enjoy it, because the stress and the way that we're made is that when we do these things, they actually self-destruct our bodies. The human body and the mind is all made to work congruently. And when you're doing things that go against your moral compass, we all have a moral compass. We know what's right and what's wrong for us. What some people can do, I cannot do. It doesn't feel right for me, it's not right. It doesn't sit right. And if I do that thing, then I have this consciousness of guilt. And until I go back and make that right, make amends for that, I carry that as a burden. And that burden weighs down the mind, the spirit, the body. And eventually it will manifest itself in your body as poor health. Now, there are many ways to try to shove that down. One way that most of us use, a lot of us use, and I've used it, is self-justification. Let me give you an example. I've never had a problem with stealing, but I know people who do. Let's say they take something from Walmart. In their mind, Walmart makes so much money and they don't pay their employees enough money, so they justify stealing and also thinking it's not going to make any difference to them. They're making billions of dollars. Well, they're right. It's not going to make any difference to Walmart. It's not really going to hurt Walmart because they just jack up the prices to cover these things. They accept and plan for that they're going to lose a lot of things through thievery, stealing. So yes, it's not going to hurt Walmart, but it is going to hurt you if you do that, or me if I do it. The effect is going to be on you as the person. Anytime you wrong someone else, if you have to justify it or rationalize it or try to make it okay in your head, that's usually a good sign that you're doing something that you find wrong for you. So it's a good idea to not do that thing. But if you've done it, it's also a good idea to go back and try to make that right the best you can. And if you can't make it right with the person or institution that you did it to, you can make indirect amends and help someone somewhere else, or make a donation or something to relieve that burden of guilt. I know many times people, they accept a certain religious figure and they say they're forgiven. And that may very well be true. But what they don't realize is that same person that taught that also taught that if we've done something to our neighbor, our brother, we need to go back and make amends for that. They seem to pick out the points they like, and the other ones they kind of shove them under the carpet. To live a life of integrity does not mean that you're not going to make mistakes, that you're always going to be 100% honest. I've been dishonest before and not even realize it at the time. To thine own self be true, and then you can be false to no one else. Sometimes our desires and our motives cloud our reasoning and our judgment. The conscious mind has its place, and it can tell us when we're doing something that is right or wrong for us. And that right and wrong is determined sometimes by which side of the fence you stand on. As I said earlier, what is right for you may not be right for someone else. And what is wrong for you may not be wrong for someone else. Depending on where you're raised, what culture you grew up in, the part of the world you live in, the social narrative at the time, some of us many times feel guilty about things that really we shouldn't feel guilty about. We've just adapted certain beliefs of our society. And some of us feel good about things that sometimes maybe we shouldn't feel good about. But because of our society, we hurt other people because we're told by our government and maybe other systems, political systems in our culture, that some people are bad and that we're good, that we're the saviors of the world, that we're the ones on the right side, that we're the ones on the side of God, if you like. How many people have been killed in the name of God or religion? When the reality is, God is love. And if you love, you don't kill. But there again, situations arise. Which side of the fence are you on? If someone breaks into your house with a gun and threatens to kill your family, is it wrong to kill that person? Some people would say yes. I would say no. I'm not advocating violence. I'm talking about self-defense. I could do that if I had to. But living with that would be difficult. I've had friends that were in the Vietnam War. One of them's passed on. I just talked to one the other day. He's 71 years old now. They never talked about it much when they were younger, but they had to kill people. Difficult thing to do. And it affected them through their life. Even though they had to do it, they were forced to do it by our government. And they were called protectors of our society. It's a difficult thing to go to war. Fortunately for me, I never had to go. Hopefully you will never have to go. I have 5 boys of age that could go to war. Well, they're not all 5 there yet. I hope that never happens. But throughout our history, we are a warring race. Every man has a warrior within him. And I could go off on that topic about you need to develop that warrior within you. Now, that doesn't mean you have to go out and join the Army or the Navy, the Marines, but you need to develop that warrior within you, express that warrior in some way. It could be in a combat sport, football, basketball. We have a need as men, masculine men, to express our masculine characters. That does not mean to go out and abuse other people, to bully other people, to take advantage of other people, to squash or step on other people to get to where we want to go. But it does mean to express the desire within us to face challenges and adversities. This is very important for the growth of character of a man. Now, we have this big thing about bullies in our society today. And look, I don't like bullies, but I've been bullied, and it helped me. And I've bullied other people. I've gone back and made amends to those people best I could and made it right to them. It was when I was young, and most of them said, don't worry about it, we were just kids. But it bothered me because I felt wrong about how I picked on some people. But I have no regrets now because I've taken care of that. These actions, by trying to go back and mend your fences, as they say in some parts of the country, they're not for the other person, they're for you. A very important aspect. If you want to be successful, these amends clear away the wreckage of the past, which blocks you off from the power you need to achieve what you came here to achieve. Many people like to think, well, it was a long time ago, I was just a kid. Okay, if you have to do that, then you're justifying and rationalizing something that is bothering you, that comes up once in a while. If you still remember it and you have to justify it, then that's something you need to clear away, to get rid of, because that blocks you off from the power you need to achieve the destiny you came here for. It's really just that simple. People wonder why they can't accomplish things, but they're carrying around this baggage of years of things they don't feel good about. And it could be something that you didn't do anything wrong to anyone else. Maybe it's something your father or your mother or your stepfather did to you. And you're an adult now, and it affected you. Yes, it did. But you can't change the past. Try to find something good about what happened. I mean, I can look back on my past and think of some things that were, everybody uses the word trauma. I don't like to use that word because for me, trauma is much more of a powerful event in your life than what people portray it as now. I see people acting like, well, when I was a kid, I had a stepdad and he didn't talk to me and it was traumatic. Maybe it was. But if you want to magnify something that happened to you into something it wasn't, that's your perception. You can look at your past and find out, well, I had a stepdad. Fortunately, I had a masculine role model in my home. Now, he wasn't very good to me. I wasn't his real biological kid, but at least he set an example of masculinity for me. And thus, I grew up knowing what it was to be a man. As I've told you guys before, my dad was a hard man. I love my dad. He's passed on 7 or 8, 10 years now. But he was a World War II veteran and a Korean War veteran. He never had a father. His dad was an alcoholic drunk. Dumped him off in an orphanage when he was, I don't know, 2 or 3 years old. Dad never talked about him much. But my dad worked 36 years at the same company. He got up every day and went. I always had clothes, food, everything I needed physically. Now, they never told me they loved me. They never told me, they never hugged me. So for years, I thought, oh, man, I didn't get any of that. And I wouldn't, if somebody tried to hug me, unless it was a good-looking woman, I didn't like it. I remember I first started going to a support group where people hugged each other, and they would come up and hug me, and I'm like, what the hell? I don't like that. And also I'd hear people say, a person would speak, and they would say, well, I love you guys. And I'm thinking, what the hell is he talking about? He doesn't even know me. How can he love me? But I understand today what he meant was this. I can say I love you. Now, that doesn't mean I know you, but I'm doing this out of love. That's one of the reasons. And I learned that from those people that helped me long ago. Because this is free. You don't have to pay anything for this, but if you'd like to give me a donation, I'll take it. I like money, don't get me wrong. But you don't have to give me anything. People call me sometimes, talk to me, and I help them. I don't charge them anything from this YouTube channel. Now, in other aspects of life, I have people that I help, and there's no option for them to be charged. I had a guy last night ask me to mentor him, and I'm going to mentor him. I have about 3 or 4 people that I'm mentoring right now, and I don't charge anything. But that's through other avenues. Here I offer consulting off my website, and as a matter of fact, in September it's half off if you want consulting. I'd be glad to help you. But this here is free. I talk about enough stuff here, a lot of stuff here that will help you in your life. If you just listen, take some notes, find something that's relevant to your life today, and you get it for free. I don't need anything back from this. And the reason I started this is because years ago I was very selfish. I'm still kind of arrogant and selfish, but I'm much better now than I used to be. Okay, but I found out through life by helping people, it helps myself. So the reality is, by helping you and sharing this with you, it does help me. Invariably, I get as much out of it as you do. So I found out when I started helping people, instead of just trying to help myself, that I got this exhilaration from it, that I got this strength and this power and this motivation from it. That was what was missing in my life. I used to get it from drugs and alcohol over 30 years ago. It's been 31 years ago since I've done any of that. But I get the same, actually more satisfaction and fulfillment from doing this than I ever did partying. Although I like to party, it was a pretty good time. I wouldn't change a thing. It helps me to be able to relate to people who are doing that themselves and maybe have gotten to the point where it doesn't work for them anymore, or they're having problems, or they want something different. Because we all seem to come to a point in life where we want a change, but we don't know how to change, or sometimes what even that change is. So that's the value of a mentor. When a mentor comes along, he can share his life with you and show you another way of life. He can give you tools to use to change your life, to accomplish what you want to accomplish. And for us guys that have been around a while, like myself, that's what we need to do. We need to pass on what we've learned. We seem to have a shortage of that here in the U.S., and most young men and women are growing up with social media. And a lot of the things on social media aren't really congruent with integrity, character, and a good standing in the community. All these things really are the basis, the foundation for success. Without that, any success you accomplish, you will destroy. You will self-sabotage. It will not be lasting, nor will you be able to enjoy it. As I started off this video about health is your wealth. Mental health, emotional health, physical health. You have to address them all. I don't care if you go to the gym every day and you got this body of Arnold Schwarzenegger, or you can run like Usain Bolt. If you are miserable on the inside, it doesn't mean anything. I don't care how beautiful you are. If you're a woman, if you don't feel good about yourself, doesn't matter what kind of man you snag. If he's a high value man, 6-figure or 7-figure a year, you'll be miserable. Your happiness, your joy, your fulfillment as a human being comes from being, in alignment with everything in the universe. And the universe is you. It's all within yourself. You have to be aligned with yourself mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and physically. You have to address all those aspects of yourself. We are multi-dimensional beings. We're not just a physical body with a brain. And that's the way most doctors have treated us for hundreds of years. They never really address the issue. They address the symptom, and they treat us as a machine, mechanical. Doctors, if wise, would take the time. Most of them can't do it because of the health insurance, and they got to get the patient in and get them out of there. But if they took the time to talk to people, I'm talking a half an hour, a couple times, if that's what a doctor visit amounted to find out what's going on in people's lives, why they have this health issue. Because all health issues are a symptom of a deeper problem. But they don't do that. They treat the symptom. Let's say a person is getting hurt all the time. He comes in, he cut his finger, he's got to get stitches. Next, 6 months later, he breaks his shoulder. 6 months after that, he comes in, he's got a broken finger. Then maybe a year later, he comes in, he's got a broken ankle. Now, you would think that this person is just unlucky. But if that doctor understood, understood the metaphysical, there's the spiritual aspect, emotional, of the men and women that are coming in there, he would stop and talk to them and really listen to them. What's going on in these people's lives? What are they thinking? What is their environment? And that's not to say he shouldn't give them medicine to deal with the symptom of the problem, but the problem is deeper. He's just seeing the effects of the problem. This person has something going on inside of them. They're thinking that's resulting in the actions that's causing them to get hurt. But the doctors don't take time out to do that. And maybe they would have to charge so much that it wouldn't be economical, maybe? They wouldn't make any money. There wouldn't be a profit. There it is. There wouldn't be a profit in it. But there is a profit in prescribing drugs. And I'm not bad-mouthing doctors. I have had doctors, friends that were doctors. It's not that. It's just a tough position to be in. Years ago, the doctor did actually take time to talk to you and find out how your life is going, what was really going on in your life. They just don't do that anymore. Systems have changed. So before you run to the doctor to get a pill for every ill, and hey, I've taken medication, there's nothing wrong with that. First, you need to ask yourself, what could be causing this? Maybe you have arthritis, maybe your chemical balance is off, whatever it happens to be. If you're on medication, stay on your medication. I'm not telling you to get on your medication or get off your medication. Seek the advice of a doctor. But find a doctor who's really going to listen to you, to listen to what is going on in your life. This is very important. But more important than that is to listen to yourself. Ask yourself, why is this happening to me? Every time something happens to me that I feel like or think is an unfortunate incident, I ask myself, how did I bring this to pass? What has been going on in me that could have brought this to come to pass? Sometimes I can figure it out, and sometimes I can't. It's possible random things happen to us. We have no active part in it. But I believe more often than not, we bring everything into our lives by the way our thinking. What are we watching on TV? Are you watching TV? Are you watching a lot of shows and clips on social media where people are getting robbed and hurt and mistreated? Are you being treated badly? If you are, this is stemming from your mental health. Your health is your wealth. What are you thinking about? Are you carrying a lot of resentment because someone harmed you a long time ago? Resentment eats up the container it's stored in, and you are that container. You must be rid of resentment. Guilt, shame, anger, remorse, regret, these are all weights that weigh you down. Many people are overweight or obese in our country, 75%. I think it's about 95% where I live. This is a symptom of a deeper problem. It has nothing to do with being hungry. The overeating is a symptom of the inner problem, what's going on inside of these people. I struggled with that myself many years ago. For 2 or 3 years, I had a weight problem. Excuse me. I was up to about 184 pounds. Right now, I weigh 157.4. I wanted to gain some muscle weight. The problem was not the food. The problem was things that were inside of me that I didn't even know were there, that I was trying to stuff down. I was trying to comfort myself with food. The same as an alcoholic does with alcohol. When you see someone who's extremely obese, it's the same thing as alcoholism. They're killing themselves with food. They're trying to kill these emotions with food because while you're eating, it's a pleasurable experience. But when you finish and you're full, you feel miserable. So as soon as you can eat again, once the food goes down and your stomach doesn't feel full, you eat again because while you're eating, it's a pleasurable experience. The same as drinking or doing drugs. It's pleasurable. The problem is the effects afterwards. You feel guilty, you feel ashamed, and then the weight starts getting on you, and you feel even more guilty. You maybe feel embarrassed if you're gaining quite a bit of weight. I didn't even want to go outside. I didn't like the way I looked. I felt like everybody looked at me and thought I was fat. And I was. I mean, I guess that was obesity because I like to stay around 155, 160, so I was 24, 25 pounds overweight. But through working with myself, on myself, my mental health, my health is my wealth, I was able to uncover these things in myself that I was trying to push down with the food. And I used drugs and alcohol through my life too. But this self-searching is something most people don't want to do. I didn't want to do it either. But when you get sick and tired of being sick and tired, you start looking somewhere besides out there for the answers to your problems. Because the answers to your problems lie within yourself. Many times if you go talk to your mentor or your best friend, excuse me, if they just listen, by the time you're finished, you know what the answer is. Because you do have the answer within yourself. But sometimes we need to reflect it off of someone else before we can see it, before we can hear ourselves telling it. These are all forms to increase your mental health. Thus, you have wealth. The word wealth comes from an old Anglo-Saxon term meaning well-being. Well-being. To be well. Too many times, or most of us today, determine the word wealth with money. Money is definitely a necessity, of course. It's hard to be healthy and happy if you're living in a cardboard box, especially here in Missouri in the wintertime. It gets pretty damn cold. But that is not the number one part of it. But we become so focused on wealth equals money as a nation, we have forgotten the true definition of the word. As with many words in our society, people use them in a way that don't even have anything to do with the original meaning and definition of the word. What's another one I'm thinking of that they're using now? Vulnerability. I talked about that. That means to be open for attack, to be vulnerable to attack. It's like to be weak. That's the true definition of the word. It's not verbatim, but it's pretty damn close. Now they've made that vulnerability is a strength, when the definition of the word means exactly the opposite. And I could name off a few other words they've changed the meaning of too. But when you act like it means something that it doesn't change the fact of what the word actually means. So, and words carry a lot of power. These words we have been using these words for thousands of years, whether they be in English, whether they be in Latin, German, Spanish, French, whatever. And it's not going to change just because some people start saying this word means something else. That's not what it means. It's not going to change. And look at the effects that some of the men are having when they're saying vulnerability is a strength. I've tried to do that myself. You start being vulnerable to a woman, she doesn't like it. She doesn't appreciate that. She wants a strong, healthy, masculine man, regardless of what a lot of people in the U.S. or in the West say. There's nothing wrong with masculinity. Be proud of your masculinity, just as women need to be proud of their femininity. We've so downplayed femininity that it's seen as a weakness or something that's despicable, that it's not valuable, it's not valued. Femininity is a power. A healthy, feminine woman is a powerful woman. A healthy, masculine man is a powerful man. And guess what? When you put those two together, they become even more powerful. Each of them do. Each in their own respect, playing the part that we play, that we have played for thousands of years. We have too much division here in the West, in the U.S. We have faction against faction, race against race, ideologies against ideologies. We need to work together. United we stand, divided we fall. I have friends from many different races and many different ideologies. I may not agree with the way some of them think, but we can find a common ground. We can work together. We can accept that other people don't agree with us without being offended or without thinking that they're against us. We're all human beings. We all inhabit this planet. It does none of us any good to hate each other or to hate each other because this person decides he likes men or this guy likes women or this guy's straight or this guy's gay. None of these things. We each have a right to live our own lives, and I don't need to push my heterosexuality on you. Why should I? Can I accept you if you're different? Yes, I can. I have friends, as I said, from all different ideologies. That's fine. They don't push their beliefs on me. I don't push my beliefs on them. We have something in common. We're all human. We're inhabiting this planet, and we can all work together for a better world. Many people want to change the world, but you need to begin with yourself, and that's with acceptance of other people. I'm not saying you should accept it if other people are trying to push their ideas on you and trying to make you change your life so they're more comfortable. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about accepting the person for who they are, or the people for who they are, and what they want to live their life, how they want to live their life. That's all you have to do. And each of us need to do that. But too many times, these people with certain ideologies want to change other people to get them to accept them. I've learned a long time ago, everybody's not going to accept me. As I've said before, when I was young, I was a hippie. I was a motorcycle. I was one of those hardcore Harley-Davidson riders. I wasn't a clubber, but I was the guys you've seen on the road that nobody really wanted to talk to or they were afraid of. Okay, I got bullied about it. I got picked on. I got treated badly by rednecks. And I have redneck friends. Nothing against rednecks. I like everybody as long as they just be themselves, and I don't have any problem with people. Really, I don't. The point I'm making here is whenever you decide you want to be a little different than other people, you're going to get resistance, okay? Not everybody's going to accept you. That's just part of the price you pay to be different. Now, you can be a conformist and do what everybody else does, and that's fine. We need conformists. I'm an employer. If it wasn't for people just wanting to work and go home at night, I couldn't do what I do. I couldn't serve the people I serve. That's fine. If you're happy with that, And that's great. Everybody has a different purpose here in life. And each of us need to find our purpose and do that. And not try to change other people so they live the way we think they should live and they should be like us. Everybody wants others to be like them. A lot of people do. And that is bad for your mental health because everybody's not going to live like you live. A question to ask yourself is this: what would the world be like if everyone was like you? Good and bad, all the character traits that you have. I think if we're honest with ourselves, we really wouldn't want everybody in the world to be like us. For one thing, wouldn't that be boring? You would see no differences, no contrast. Another thing, I have character defects. I have things that I wouldn't want people doing out there that I have to work on. Each of us have our faults. We all make mistakes. So everybody is the way they are, and that's good. Many people complain about the president. I understand that. I can't say I've always talked well about the president, regardless of who he is or who you're for. But can you imagine? This is another thing. Put yourself in other people's shoes. Can you imagine what that would be like? Making decisions on a daily basis, a weekly basis, that takes the lives of innocent men, women, and children to protect the lives of innocent men, women, and children in our country? Would you want that burden? Do you think you could do it better than he does? Well, it's easy to think that you can, but you're not walking in his shoes. And I'm not taking up for our current president, and I'm not bashing him either. He's not who I would have chosen, okay? But the reality is, a few of us would want his position. You may say, oh, I would do a better job. Would you? Maybe you would. But would you want to go to bed at night knowing that you just made a decision today that took the lives of maybe, let's say, 1,000 or 2,000 innocent men, women, and children? Maybe you could justify it by, well, I protected 10,000 over here. There's certain people that can do that and certain people that can't. I would not want that responsibility. You couldn't pay me enough to do it. I could not have health, which, as I started this out, is your wealth. I could not have good mental health making decisions like that and doing things like that. I understand why they have to be done. I suppose in the world we live in, they have to be done. Maybe someday we will evolve beyond that, but today, that's just the way it is. So that again, judgment. When we're judging people, we cause a problem within ourselves. We judge people. We don't know all the particulars of why they do what they do, where they're at mentally, what they've gone through in their lives. Everything is filtered through their experiences. What's the old saying? Walk a mile in a man's shoes. Yeah, what that means is if you grew up and were raised in the same way, had the same experiences as this person you're judging, whether it's the alcoholic laying on the corner who's pissed his pants, he looks like crap, he stinks, or whether it's the President of the United States. You didn't walk in their shoes, so you don't know what brought them to that point. So for you to judge, you're just judging by very, very, very limited knowledge of that person. You don't know. So that's why it's better not to judge, because we cannot possibly know all the particulars that brought this person to the point he is in his life. So judgment hurts you. Now we have to make judgments, of course, during the day, like I'm driving too fast, so I better slow down. Maybe I shouldn't go down that road because of the traffic. Maybe I shouldn't hire this person because I don't think he's a good fit for the job. But we don't have to judge the person's individuality, his character, his character. We don't have to judge him that he's bad because he's a certain way or because he wears a certain type of clothes. You can judge a person, of Of course, like as I say, you have to judge them if you're going to hire them, if you're an employer, but you're not judging the essence of the person. Maybe just his actions and where he would fit in your life, like in a relationship, for example, let's say an intimate relationship. We have to make judgments, but we don't have to judge the person, how do I say it, the essence of the person. They may do bad things, but everyone has good in them. It's really a difficult thing to do. The point I'm making here is someone may do bad things. I've done some shit in my life that I'm not proud of. Okay, was I a bad person? Or was I a person doing bad things because that's all I knew? Because I don't do those things anymore. So we've all made mistakes. We've all done what we consider bad things, at least in our society. In other societies, you may have done the same thing and it wasn't considered bad. So that's a societal perception. The point I'm making here is you can judge the person's actions, but you don't have to judge the person. If you can understand that, I really don't know how to explain that. Just because someone does things, let's say he's the alcoholic on the corner, doesn't mean he's a bad person. He just doesn't know how to deal with what life has, the cards that life has dealt with him. So he chooses to escape. Yeah, he may stink, he may be dirty, he may not be working, he may not be contributing to society, but that doesn't make him inherently bad. That very same person, if given the opportunity, if he would take it, in 2 or 3 years could be helping thousands of people. Maybe he would get into a 12-step program and start helping people. And had he not gone through, had he not walked in those shoes or walked that path, he would not be able to help others. So, was he a bad person then? Or was he just a person that didn't know any better? He didn't know any better. But through some happenstance in his life, after you saw him on the street, pissed in his pants, maybe crapped in him, just a mess, he's able to help people. So was that bad that he was like that? See, if you don't judge, you don't have a problem there. We can't judge because we don't know the past and we don't know the future of this person. He could turn out to be one of the greatest, humanitarians in life. He could turn out to be the next, well, it wouldn't be Mother Teresa, but let's say St. Francis. Anyway, helping thousands and thousands of people. And those people that he helps, maybe he just helps 2 people. But one of those people he helps out of the gutter that at one time was in the same place he was in, helps millions of people, changes the world. I know that's kind of extreme, but when you change one person, you've changed that person's world by giving of yourself. All these things contribute to your health, your mental health, and your health is your wealth. So I'm going to finish it up there. If you'd like to get my help personally, as I said, marksinspiration.com. If you're watching this on Instagram, you can check me out on YouTube at Mark Daniels, Mark's Inspiration. On Instagram, it's Mark's Inspiration. What else? There's something else. Check out my books on Amazon. Coming Back Home, The True Adventure of Mark Daniels. You can find out how I found what real health is and how my path was to get to where I'm at today. It's a very adventurous book. I never thought my life was such an adventure until other people started telling me, you should write a book. Your life should be a movie. Anyway, I did write the book. So it's there. Also, The Power is Within. It gives a detailed explanation how you can clear away the wreckage of the past so you can tap into that power that lies within yourself. And is there anything else? Join us for the podcast Saturday night, 6 p.m. Central Standard Time. Also for the Dragon Ship with RP Thor today at 12 p.m. Central Standard Time. That's Saturday, 12 p.m. Central Standard Time. All right, so that's all I have for today. You guys have a great day. Take care, and I'll see you next time.